Hey guys, welcome to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour with your hosts, Derek and Jade.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in and welcome to episode number 17 of the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. Again, my name is Derek with DP Films Productions.
My name is Jade with Justice Promised Events. Today we chat with Kathy, owner of Slo Mama Sweets, an adorable ice cream truck that provides an authentic 1950s experience.
That's right. This is going to be one delicious episode. So grab a drink, take a seat, and let's get to it. Before we get this episode started, I just wanted to thank Anthony with Epic Entertainment for letting us use his amazing office building to record our episode. And without further ado, let me announce our awesome guest, Kathy with Slo Mama Sweets. Kathy, what's going on?
Hi, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. Did you drive your awesome vintage ice cream truck?
No, I didn't. I figured it draws a lot of attention out on the street, and if I'm in here, that wouldn't be so good.
Yeah, have a line outside by the
time
we're done.
I would for sure.
That'd be so cool. So before we get this show started, we always like to ask you, if you could let our listeners know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Okay. My name is Kathy Callahan. I'm the owner and operator of Slo Mama Sweets Vintage Ice Cream Truck. Let's see, I've been doing it for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I owned the truck for 2 years prior to that, so it was a 2-year build out.
Nice.
To restore the vehicles.
So cool.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you provide such a unique, authentic experience with the vintage truck, cute uniforms, and oldies musics playing as you arrive.
Yeah.
I
mean, take us back. Like, what started this whole journey? And,
it was basically looking for a job.
Yeah.
So, I was an entrepreneur previously. Before I had kids, I owned a manufacturing company. And had a couple little businesses. But really it was just a concept to incorporate my kids into my work because I didn't want to leave them.
Yeah.
So that took a while thinking of things. And we went on a family trip to Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And at the American History Museum was a vintage good humor truck out in front on display. I walked up and it was immediate. I went, oh my gosh, that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's the job.
That's so cool.
And so that night we were in our hotel and I just started researching how to get a truck, and spent a few months of research and calling till I kind of figured a few things out.
Nice.
Yeah. And but I had seen it. It was like one of those very, very rare moments in life where the light bulb goes off and you see everything all at once. Uh-huh. I don't know that I've had that before, but Slo Mama Sweets was born that way.
That's so cool. Like your calling. It was like, bing.
Absolutely.
How old are your kids, or how old were they when you first started this?
Oh, I don't know. They were younger. They're all, right now they're 22, 19, and 15. Awesome. So 6 years, actually 6-7 years ago. Uh-huh. So they were much younger.
So this must have been a really fun part of them growing up then.
You know what? It was fun. Yeah. Every kid is like, oh, I got to work. Yes, you do.
There's ice cream.
Yeah, it's ice cream.
Fun.
That part was easy.
Yeah.
That part was actually, it wasn't easy. It was actually kind of hard. Like, okay, get out of the freezer. That's how many have you had?
Yeah.
Finding wrappers hidden behind
little
things.
sugar rushes.
Yes, for sure. But it's been an unbelievable experience in educating my kids and teaching them how to start a business and grow it from the ground up.
Nice.
And some of the things that they've seen have been, invaluable, I think, lessons in teaching them how to, operate, how to deal with people.
Yeah. Definitely. I could see that being a really good experience for them.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, how to run a business, like how to operate.
Yeah.
Do they do any of like the administrative work? Maybe like emails and like dealing with inquiries and whatnot?
Yeah, my 2 older kids do. So my daughter is a grad student at USC
Nice.
in the PR program, so she helps me out with that.
Nice.
And my middle son, my middle child, he's a Cal Poly student. Sorry, he's a Cal Poly student, and he helps me out with day-to-day operations. So he even drives the truck and takes it to jobs on his own. Oh.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's super cool. So like what brought the name along? How'd the Slo Mama Sweets name, how was it born?
Sandler's Bispo, Slo.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And I'm a mama, and that's kind of how the business was born, was trying to be a mom and work and incorporate my kids. And then I had an idea of having some candy that I was making homemade. And so the sweets came in, and then I'm like, I'm narrowing it down to just ice cream. So I'm like, it's ice cream sweets. So that's good. It'll just stick.
Yeah, that's cool. So like you actually thought about more than just ice cream at the time.
I did.
Like what?
I did. Well, I was making a certain type of candy at one point. Prior to Slo Mama Sweets ice cream truck, I was baking cakes and pies and desserts for weddings for years.
Awesome.
And candy and things like that, all homemade. And it was tough on my body with 3 little kids baking in the middle of the night for a fresh cake. And it was tough on my body and my back. And I'm like, I got to get something else. I got to get another gig.
Yeah.
So
something that the kids can help with.
Yes. That's why we have kids.
Yeah.
No. So they can help. So that was kind of the impetus, was, not only just get something regular and more productive, but to incorporate the kids and to kind of, I was kind of done baking.
Yeah.
So
you've been into the wedding industry before.
Yes.
That's cool.
That's super helpful for the whole logistics side of everything and knowing how it works.
Yeah, it was. And it makes me appreciate my job all the more, because I felt like baking, I have a great respect for bakers, because so much time that's unseen goes into it. And really, my business is fairly simple. And that it was born out of wisdom and experience of just, trying to simplify my life, but have something that is very unique.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's really smart.
Speaking of which, I want to talk about your uniforms. So for those that don't know, what are your uniforms on wedding day?
Okay, my uniform on wedding day is really, it's all out.
Yeah.
I actually have some authentic 1950s dresses that are phenomenal, but I love Hepcat and Slo. Little shout out to them, because they've been so great in setting me up with uniforms and for me and dresses, and I'm a clothes horse, so I love it. And the heels and lipstick and the little headpiece and everything, so it's great. And I think people like it. They like to see what I'm wearing and what I'm coming in. The guys wear the standard white hats with the black bow ties, white shirts, white pants, like the old Good Humor guys did.
Yeah, is that like the milkman kind of a style?
It's the Good Humor.
Humor.
So the Good Humor Company was the first ice cream truck, and that's what they wore. Nice. So the milkman maybe stole that from the Good Humor. So, but kind of looks like a milkman, but no, it is really the authentic Good Humor ice cream truck man.
That's so cool.
They keep in that, and I get to change it up.
Yeah. Nice. So what?
So awesome.
What year would you say this like falls in like your style?
Oh, it's 1950s. So my truck is a 1954 vehicle, and I chose that vehicle. It's a Chevy 3100 series deluxe 5-window, And I chose that truck specifically for the grill.
Nice.
So anybody who's a Chevy person out there knows that that's the only year and maybe a couple months into 55 that they made the most beautiful grill, I think, on any vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's how I chose that.
Yeah. Speaking of your car, so like, did you actually convert that thing into what it is today, or was it already like pretty much pre-built and then you just add whatever to it?
You know what? We built it out the way they did before the 1-unit trucks came out. So that was a Chevy or Ford. They took the bed off and put a freezer box on. So the freezer box I have is an original Good Humor freezer box from the 50s.
Nice.
That I've had completely refurbished with a compressor and cold plates.
Nice.
So yeah.
Super authentic.
So we did it that way. Yeah, it was so not easy.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
Almost drove it on my glove a couple times in the process.
That's funny because Bessie, when we just interviewed her, she mentioned that too about vintage style. It's like always, it's like upkeeping. You gotta like keep up with it.
Oh, absolutely. It's, it's a labor of love. It's such a different animal than modern day vehicles because everything is, on one hand is very simple.
Yeah.
The engines and the way things run. So on that hand, it's nice, but it definitely takes a long time getting over that grade.
No kidding.
The Cuesta grade, I'm the slowest one in the slow lane.
Oh boy. So what kind of ice creams do you usually serve on wedding day?
I have 2 menus. So I have a traditional menu, which has close to 30 ice creams, everything from the old-fashioned 50-50 bar to Bomb Pops. I have Haagen-Dazs bars, Magnum bars, and I even have homemade pops that I brand.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I also have another menu, which is a local and artisan menu. So I try to carry everything that is from a local ice cream maker. So I carry Doc Bernstein's, Negranti Creamery, Leo Gelato. I used to carry Batch, but they're not doing wholesale anymore. So I just try to nab anybody who's producing, trying to work with Cal Poly, see if I can get them on my truck.
Nice.
So yeah.
Awesome. So you could get them a whole local experience for their wedding.
Absolutely. And then my brand. So my brand's on that.
Yeah. Can you talk about a little bit more about your brand?
Yeah. It's called Mama's Pops.
Mama's Pops.
Yeah. And they're just amazing. They're homemade. I have a guy who does them for me. And we have dulce de leche. We've got Oreo cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake, watermelon, and everything's real.
Wow.
Real ingredients. It's just phenomenal.
That's so cool. Have you ever thought about branding outside of just the weddings, like throw them into like grocery stores too?
No. I'm trying to set my sights on maybe another track.
Yeah.
So that would come first before entering into, mass production. And
I think that's a whole nother world.
yeah, I like what I'm doing and I want to stick with that. And I want to expand in that area over outside of my truck and outside of what I'm doing.
Right.
That's so cool. So you mentioned about Doc Bernstein's and, you're working with those companies. How did that come about? And,
it came about. I just wanted to carry local product.
Yeah.
And I just knocked on his door. He's a great guy. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I sell wholesale.
Yeah.
So same with Negranti and Leo Gelato. They're phenomenal products. And I'm super privileged to carry them. So they're also great people to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And you like bring your car over there and whatnot, like.
Sometimes, sometimes I'll bring my truck and most of the time I just a quick pickup, but and then I get my other stuff from various avenues.
That's so cool.
So then is it like a scoop and serve for Doc Bernstein's? Or how does
How does that work?
I carry all their novelties.
Okay.
So I carry their So Good sandwiches,
Nice.
which they have, coffee with almonds, birthday cake, mint chip, and vanilla So Goods. I carry their frozen bananas with roasted almonds and chocolate.
Oh, that sounds good.
And their Doc drummers.
I'm getting hungry.
I'm hungry.
So, so everything's prepackaged on my truck and everything's either a bar, a sandwich, or, something that you can eat with a spoon.
Yeah.
It's all individually packaged.
Awesome.
Super cool.
No scooping.
Nice. So I wanted to bring up your music as well. So is there a special song you usually play as you pull in? Can you tell us about that?
I do. I offer my bride and grooms, I basically I say, okay, is this going to be a surprise for your guests? And almost 100% of the time it is.
Yeah.
And I station outside the venue. And when the coordinator calls me in, I come in, I blast Etta James at Last because that's iconic.
Yeah.
And bells ringing so they can hear me coming before they see me. And it is so sweet. It's just a lovely experience. Yeah.
That's so cool. So did you put the little, how does the music come out? Like,
I have a great speaker underneath the back of my truck. It's waterproof and it's got a great sound system. So
nice.
Yeah. Modern day.
Yeah.
Not 1954 sound system.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah. 'Cause it's a really important part of my business and how I present myself. And, I could have the little ice cream jingle, but I think after an hour, people will go crazy hearing that. Yeah. So they'd much rather listen to the sounds of Ella Fitzgerald, Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke. Yeah, my favorites. So
that's so cool. I remember you actually did a wedding that I was a part of when I was filming it, and then I heard your song come up, and like I don't care what age you are, they all run like little children to your car.
Oh my gosh, it's what I'm missing so much about the wedding experience right now during the virus is that just to see the joy on people's faces in a group gathering where everybody's celebrating a couple. It's beautiful. And when I pull up, it's like, it's a party.
Yeah. So, are you always like the surprise gift, or are you sometimes there before?
No.
For weddings?
I'm always
the surprise.
I'm always the surprise. I have never been there prior.
That's cool.
Actually, what's interesting is I did do a last wedding season in between the ceremony and the reception because the bride and groom wanted to take pictures. It was a church wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And so I pulled up as the guests were all told to wait outside the church. They weren't told that I was coming, but they said, everybody wait out here. And I pulled up. And so that was like a snack before they all went to the reception.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was so sweet.
So like even no matter what part of the day, you're still the surprise.
I'm still the surprise. People are always like, oh my gosh, what is this?
They're so stoked.
So yeah.
It's so unique. Like, I mean, just your get up, the music, just everything, the car.
Well, I think it's unique, cool, but it's also unique to 2020. It existed in the past and it didn't exist with women owners. So I am a female-owned business.
Nice.
And I take charge of that and I promote that. And so that's what's unique is that it's my face on the side of my truck. It's my name and I run the business. Yep. So in the past, when it was the Good Humor truck, it was a male-owned business. The Good Humor was an ice cream man. I'm an ice cream woman. So
I want to talk about like inquiries. Have you noticed a certain typical clientele you've been receiving, knowing that you're like the 1950s style, or are you just like a wide range?
It's a wide range. It does not matter. I've done everything. I chose the colors of my truck very carefully because I wanted it to be elegant and not, cartoony or, so if you remember my truck is like, is like a white and kind of a French vanilla creamy color combo. And so it photographs beautifully in any situation. I try to, adjust to how I dress to the occasion because I have done things like I do celebration of life, receptions. And I do winery events, different things, parties. So I try to tailor a little bit, to make it elegant so that photographs look beautiful no matter what the style, wedding or event it is.
That's so cool.
So it's not a 50s. I don't think I've ever done I think I did one kind of vintagey type of wedding, but everything else is not. Yeah.
That's cool. That's kind of mind blowing to think about. You know, you would think like with a certain theme you go for, that's a kind of like, that's not, that's really cool. So that's a good tip for anyone that's starting a good business, is to be smart about how you market it. Like you said yourself, you know, the colors make a big difference.
Yeah, sure.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Absolutely. And I want it to be suitable for elegant events. So if my truck was a bright color, or, you know, I think it would kind of eliminate that from being, you know, a little bit more, I don't know.
Like just like if it was a bright orange, you'd be doing like a lot of Madonna Inn weddings.
Yes, no, that would be bright pink.
Bright pink, there you go, yeah. Bright pink. They always got those funky style weddings. That's cool though.
French vanilla, that fits
French
anywhere.
vanilla, yeah, absolutely. Ice cream colors. Yeah.
That's super cool. So you mentioned that you do sometimes like winery events and stuff. So you do things outside of weddings too. You also do like corporate events and whatnot?
I do everything. Like I said, I do celebration of life events. So I do winery events, parties, anniversaries, graduations, everything. Yeah. I don't think there's anything quite. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And everything is new and different every time I come. Even a wedding is so different every time I come.
Right.
Never see the same thing twice.
You don't? That's what I like about it.
I'm sure you know. Yeah, you guys know.
We do like that. But right now, I think we're getting a little hungry. So we're just going to take a quick break.
Sure.
Welcome back, guys. We're still here with Kathy from Slo Mama Sweets.
Hi.
So you used to be a baker. So what inspired you to transition to the ice cream end of things? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit before, but
it was the truck inspiration first. I mean, that really drove the direction. Was I wanted that truck bad. So I just, you know, felt like I needed to bring something back that was long gone. So...
Well, you definitely did a really good job at that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about your kids helping you out. Can you give a little bit more about how it is working with them?
It's been interesting. I think in the beginning when I said, hey guys, especially the boys, you got to wear these white hats.
This white outfit.
And they were little. They were semi-horrified. And I just like, you have to do it. You have to do it. Before I even started my business, I got a reach out from Cal Poly. A friend of mine had gotten a picture of my truck or something. I can't remember, passed it on to them. They called me before I had even booked a job. That was one of the first places I went to. I brought my kids and I said, this is what you're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And people were going crazy for the truck.
Really?
And they were going crazy for the boys' outfits and their uniforms and like just telling them, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So from that point on, the boys didn't have any issues with wearing the uniform because they realized sometimes it's the experience that pulls it all together for a kid. You can tell them a million times, but it's not until they experience it that they kind of get what the situation is. So after that first job at Cal Poly, their eyes were open. They're like, okay, whatever this is, because they didn't grow up with it. They didn't know it. I think mom's got the right idea.
Yeah.
So from that point on, it wasn't a hardship. You know, it's growing kids, you know, everybody has struggles with trying to get them to clean their room and do things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're working, and each one along the way has come into the realization that, oh, if I work, I earn money. And the younger they are, the less they understand that.
But as they get older.
Right. And so they're starting to get to the point where they're like, hey, what kind of jobs do we have coming up?
Yeah. They're all excited about it.
I need some money, Mom. I'm like, okay, you got to work.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing how a uniform could really, like you said, make the customer or the client experience that much more. Like you could put on a uniform and you're treated differently. Like it makes the whole thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they kind of see your business differently.
Exactly,
so when they come to the truck, especially at an event like a wedding, it's an experience.
Exactly.
So currently right now I'm doing a few different types of things because of the virus. So we got some little swag. We got Slo Mama Sweets baseball trucker hats.
Nice.
And and we're kind of paring down just because we're shooting in and out of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm not doing the glam right now.
Okay.
But I do have jobs coming up that they're going to get the full dress and heels and lipstick.
You're excited.
There will be lipstick under my mask.
Yes.
So.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the little black sheep in the room, COVID.
Yeah.
So how has that, like you mentioned, some about masks, but what else are you going to be taking for procedure wise when it comes to events?
Well, I think since we haven't been doing large events, it's been manageable. So the way I've been running, I really have kind of opened up an old school way of doing business right now because my weddings have been postponed and events have been postponed or canceled. So I'm hitting neighborhoods. So people are gathering between 25 on up people for ice cream.
Yeah.
They're lining up 6 feet apart and they wear a mask. I wear a mask when they come to the truck.
Nice.
So it was very different to have to do that, but I'm actually loving it.
Yeah.
And I'll incorporate that into my regular business when things open up again.
Yeah.
Because there's a sweet part of touching a neighborhood. I can't just drive neighborhoods because there are no kids in the neighborhoods. They're all in the basketball courts or on the baseball fields and things like that. So it's not like it used to be in the old days. But if I can still gather people and people request, I show up, I serve, and I leave. So what they're not getting is the heavy truck fees because I'm not there for very long.
Yeah.
I'm there for 15, 20 minutes. I serve and I'm out. And I'm wearing my little trucker hat. So for more organized events, they can get a guarantee of my time, what I'm wearing, what my workers are wearing, the music, everything is more done up and elaborate.
Nice.
So, but I will keep the low key neighborhood stop by. So that's how COVID has changed my business. I'm super grateful for the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you go about like choosing a neighborhood and announcing that? Like, do you just show up?
They're just reaching out to me through Instagram.
Awesome.
So I get a DM like, hey, can you come to my neighborhood? I have a 10-gallon tank, so they have to pay a travel fee if it's outside of Slo.
10-gallon tank. That's tiny.
Yes, it is. So I'm gassing up every, 10 miles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. And some neighborhoods are splitting that up. And some I'll trade, some of the fee for followers on Instagram because then that gets the word out.
Huge.
And I get to visit more neighborhoods.
Nice. So like speaking of their small little tank, like where's the furthest you've gone? Or is there a limit? You're like, I can't go that far.
Well, I actually have had a lot of inquiries down in the Los Angeles area.
Whoa.
So I, believe it or not, yesterday just started to kind of contact towing companies to see what it would be to tow my truck down there.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
And so I'm going to try to break into the market down there, but the farthest I've driven is probably Santa Barbara, Ventura.
Nice.
And
How many stops does that take?
a few gas ups, but it's great. It just takes a lot longer. So an hour and a half to Santa Barbara in a regular car is taking me 2.
Nice.
And I would love to have my own trailer at some point because, every time I'm on the road, I've got drivers next to me with their cameras holding out. They're trying to film my truck and they're getting really close and I don't have a horn. So I'm ringing my bells, like trying to can you please move over? So it gets a little dicey, when you have that, restored vehicle that far on the road.
Yeah.
No kidding. But that's really exciting that you're going to break into the LA County area.
Yeah. I would love someday to have a truck down there.
That'd be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. People will love it. I can imagine.
Oh yeah. I think so.
Speaking of which, so you kind of mentioned that second truck before. Are you like in the search for one? Or?
Not yet, but that's my goal.
Yeah.
So my goal is to have a franchise down there and have a specific target market.
Awesome.
So
That's super cool. So you're thinking about like having a dedicated car in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, man, that'd be awesome.
but it'll be a little bit different than up here, you know, so I'll serve a different.
We get the
The OG.
The OG. There you go. Yeah, definitely. So like how many weddings do you do per day? Like not like like
per
a day.
day.
Like how many can you do?
Well, it depends on timing. So, you know, with catering, that's like your wedding, you're there the whole time because there's so much prep. For me, I breeze in and out. I've got my product all ready to go. I serve. So the most I've done in one day is 3.
Nice.
So it just depends on timing though. You know, a lot of people like me in the evening, but different hours, you know, if I can squeeze it in, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it right in there.
Cool.
Super cool.
Especially if they're close proximity.
Yeah. So they're like all like Slo County or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We do like 10.
I don't think I can do
I feel like
10.
that'd be stressful because you have to like reload in between. And
You know, and my
stuff,
truck
right?
carries a ton of product.
Oh,
It
cool.
looks so tiny, but this is where, you know, volume comes into play, that it holds a lot.
That's so cool.
So I've served 1,800 people.
Wow.
I did
in
have
one
to-
event.
In one event through Cal Poly. So I had an alternate freezer on site, but ran most of it out of my little truck. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You can handle it all easy.
It wasn't easy, but it was fun. And I did it.
That's so cool. Let me see here. What do we got? So we would like to ask usually a story about like a fun event or even a wild story you have or something crazy that's happened or whatnot. Is there
I'm sure
anything?
you have a lot.
Yeah, you could share.
You know, I think really it would probably go back to the very first time I did an event with a lot of people involved. Try to keep it unemotional, but it was very emotional. I pulled up, it was a surprise. I pulled up to a wedding and the guests were lined up at the barn door and the barn door opened and they could hear me coming. And just to be behind the wheel and see people jumping up and down, clapping and cheering. And as I pulled up and got out, there were several older people who started to cry. And because it was something they saw in their youth,
Their childhood.
and it was so sweet and it brought back so many beautiful memories. And that to me resonates to this day that, you know, if you're doing something you love and you get a reaction like that, it just keeps pushing you and driving you to keep doing it and doing it better.
Exactly. That's such a good story.
Amazing.
That's so true. Like you said, you know, like I mentioned before, like no, I don't care what age you are, when you pull up, you got the grandma on the walker trying to make it to you. You know?
Well, you know what? I think kids who have never seen that era truck, they even like the way they describe it is, oh, this looks like it's from Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, oh, thank you, because that's the happiest place on earth.
That's
And
so
I
true.
really want to go back to Disneyland.
Wow. That's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I had a question that I was thinking about because you mentioned that you used to be a baker before this. Have you ever thought about making like custom treats for a bride's event? Like if they're like, hey, can you make us like a certain kind of our own, like, you know, like bartenders can make, oh, here's your custom cocktail for your wedding. Would you ever do something like that?
Signature.
That's an interesting idea.
They're like, we want like watermelon and chocolate with some Sour Patch Kids.
I would say, what kind of wedding are you running?
That's a wild one.
Just hungry.
You know, I think I try to do my best,
Yeah.
but that hasn't come up yet. I think you never know. Now that you've put that out into the universe, who knows what they're going to see. Maybe watermelon chocolate with Sour Patch Kids will become an item.
You never know.
You never know.
But that's so cool. You know, that I like that you just very passionate. I like hearing vendors talk about how passionate they are about their craft. And, you know, like you say, when you drive up and it just makes you emotional seeing everyone, how they react to you. That's huge.
It's huge. It keeps you going in what you love. And it kind of keeps you knowing that you're doing what you should be doing, you know.
That's really big. Yeah. I like that. Same thing like with us too, you know?
Yeah.
I get passionate about my little stuff. You get passionate about your stuff, baby?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That passion when you first started, I'm sure it was like scary, this new idea. So
it was scary until the first event. And then all of a sudden I went, okay, this is going to work. You know, everything is theoretical before you actually step through the door. And then once you do, and like I said, it was a 2-year build out on that truck. So for 2 years I was thinking, oh God, is this going to work? How are people going to respond to it? And each step along the way, when the paint was done and everything, I'm like, this is so beautiful. I just think my truck is really beautiful.
Nice. So nice.
And I think, gosh, somebody else is going to think it's beautiful too. So I don't know. I think in business, if you feel so strongly like that, and then you start to get that feedback that somebody else thinks that too, then you know you're on the right track.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I really like that. Yeah. You kind of, we're kind of jump way back here when you first started. Like you mentioned that, you know, how you were a little, everyone's nervous when they first start.
Yeah.
And when you first did your first event, how was that first event? When you first did one with your car?
Oh, so nervous. That was at Cal Poly.
Oh, that was a couple.
Yeah, that was a Cal Poly event. And
the
like
1800.
The 1800?
No. That was this last season. No, if I would have started with 1800, I think I might have quit.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I can't do this.
You know what? It was amazing when we pulled up. People were like running to the truck. Yeah. And so that was it. It was like from that minute, all the nerves went away. I went, okay, people are connecting. So it was a huge crowd and a huge line. And, you know, every person that came up was like, oh my gosh, you know. So I think that type of response launched me into a comfort zone where I think, you know, if you test the waters and you just don't know how people are feeling, it's a little bit more tenuous going forward. It was like immediate, like, yes, they could see that my vision was something that they appealed to them. So as a whole for that event, couldn't have been more perfect. So, because it wasn't a wedding. You know, a wedding, you got everything on the line. You're like, oh gosh, I hope I do a good job. And this was more of a casual, large event. So I didn't have the pressure of, you know, pleasing a bride and groom. I had kind of public opinion.
Nice.
And so then that made it easier to go into a wedding going, okay, I get what the general public is saying, at least from this sample event. And mind you, it wasn't 1,800 people, but there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. So it was overall a crazy, awesome experience.
So what is some of the press you've received over the years?
Gosh, you know, really from the start, it's kind of been a great situation with people being interested. So I've been featured on Slow Life magazine, which is a beautiful magazine in San Luis Obispo. The Wedding Standard. Let me see. There's another one in Slow. Oh my gosh, I've lost the name. I'm sorry. Another magazine. I was a little article in the Tribune.
Nice.
And on KSBY just recently.
Really?
We did a pilot for ABC.
Dang.
Yeah.
Big times.
And a little tiny slice in the Today Show.
That's so cool.
Wow, you've been everywhere.
No, not yet, but I plan on being everywhere.
That's so cool. Like, yeah. How do they reach out to you about that stuff? Like, how does that come about?
You know, website.
There it is.
Email, telephone calls.
Words of mouth.
You know, yes. I've had a couple inquiries for commercials and things like that. And, you know, actually 2 years in a row for a commercial where I was already booked.
Yeah.
And when a bride books you a year in advance, you're like, I could never do that to them. But so
we'll
see what's coming down the pike.
So the pilot for ABC, like, what is that? What was that?
It was, I don't think it got picked up, but it was Paul Brunson, who's a life coach, and Oprah protege. Wow. Yeah. So he's an amazing guy, and sorry to see that show didn't get picked up, but
that's still really, really cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Super cool. So before we end this little awesome interview, we always like to ask, where can people find you? Website, social media, you name it.
I'm www.slomamasweets.com. My Instagram is Slo Mama Sweets, SLOMAMASWEETS. And that's the best way. DM me through my web or through my Instagram.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get a hold of me, or through reservation and contact forms on my website.
Perfect.
Awesome. So guys, if you're looking for some amazing sweets, check out Slo Mama Sweets.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, Kathy. Of course. We've had so much fun, and thank you for being a part of this. And
you guys have been great. I'm so appreciative.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
We'll catch you next time.
Great.
All right. What a great episode. What did you guys think? I think Kathy was awesome. I mean, you could really tell how passionate she was during that interview.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I love her whole story and how she got into this. I mean, as soon as she saw that truck, she just saw the whole vision, that unique experience that she could bring back to people's lives from the 1950s. And seriously, she did an amazing job at capturing that whole era and bringing that joy to people on, such a special occasion. So cool.
Definitely. I like how she told us her story about when she pulled up. She just saw the line of people clapping and cheering for her, grandma with her walker, bringing back the days to them. And it was an emotional experience.
Yeah, so cool.
Definitely. As always, guys, thanks again for tuning in to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to hear from some more amazing wedding professionals. Till then, we'll catch you on episode number 18.